another episode of Unwanted Football Opinions. Today we have our friend Vinay Chakor with us. The last I remember, Vinay was the captain of a football team. So we have a celebrity with us.
Sure.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about Barcelona today. And it'll be, so this is a part of the Let's Talk series. So we'll be talking about their past performances, the 2 or 3 games they've played. How the new signings might change the way the team plays, how the exits might affect how the team plays, what tactics are they using under the new manager, and the rest of the stuff. So, Vinay, what do you think about their performances, the last 2 games, the one that they played yesterday and the one before that?
After Ronald Koeman came as the new manager, I think that they have seriously got really confident in play, which I have not seen this confidence in the Barca for the past 4 years, I would say. Last time we won the treble, after that I haven't seen this level of confidence. But
4 years?
Yeah, I'm serious. There's nothing that I could be happy about in that 4 years. So, it's only 2 games, you can't get carried away. But the first game was really good. Ansu Fati is I think really gem. He's like what strikers would say, a proper poacher. He can score goals beautifully. And yesterday also, it just shows the commitment of the team. They were down 1 man and played for more than half the game like that, and still won 3-0 at a location which is away from home, and we haven't won there for the past 5 years. So that's, I think, testament to what's happening. But as I said, we can't get carried away. Hopefully this continues.
Yeah, so the other thing was, these 2 games have been against relatively easy opponents, if I can say so. So do you think it'll be wrong to say that, Barcelona have actually improved a lot till they face an actual big team like, let's say, Atletico or Real or Sevilla or anything of that sort?
Thing is, Villarreal was actually had a good run of form. I don't know, they played badly against Barca maybe, but I think Barca played well. Yeah, relatively, if you would say, they still haven't played Atletico and Real. So, but if you look at how Barca have played in the last season and this season, if you had given the same situation to Barca last season, where they are 1 man down, I'm pretty sure they would have lost that game, even if it was against the Celta Vigo or anything. So yeah, even if they're going to face Real and all, I think if they continue this form, they're going to give it a good fight, definitely.
But most people have actually backed Real of winning the La Liga again this season, though Real itself is looking very shaky. Their first game was especially very, very bad.
That's true, but Real has this knack of scoring in the last few minutes. Somehow they will win the match. So I don't know.
A lot of their haters also say it's because of the referees being partial towards them, VAR giving them penalties from nowhere. Okay, so we'll talk about their last game, the one that happened last night.
Yeah.
What do you think stood out? Other than Ansu Fati, of course.
Yeah. In the first half, I don't think Messi was seen. Second half, he stood up, and I think either it was Koeman or someone in the team who just asked him to stand up, and he changed the game. 2 dribbles, amazing dribbles, both led to goals. And you could see that fire in him in the second half, and showing that he was the true captain. He was just marshalling the troops, and they deserved the win. And also Coutinho in the last 2 games, I would say, is the unsung hero. Ansu Fati scored the goals, but Coutinho assisted him in both games, and he has been amazing on the ball. He's doing what Messi used to do when Messi used to track back. Now Messi is playing more attacking, and Coutinho is collecting the ball from midfield and distributing beautifully. Only thing is that Griezmann has to find his position and start scoring goals.
Exactly. So I in my opinion, the only bad parts, but Griezmann hasn't been at his best since he moved to Barcelona, and I thought under Koeman, maybe because he said that he'll play him in his actual role, they might do better. But that doesn't look like it, because even though they're technically playing with a 4-2-3-1, I don't see him as the striker. Because I usually see him playing on the right side more, despite him being called the striker. I don't know what is happening with the way they're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
what I was thinking.
The positives are that.
Go.
Go on. Yeah.
No, tell the positives are.
The positives are that Coutinho has actually stepped up a lot. Like, he's not like exactly on the Liverpool standard that he was, but definitely we should thank Bayern. We should give them like 2 gold medals and a bouquet of chocolates, because the way Coutinho has come back from them, like, you can see that he wants to prove himself now, and the way that he's playing is proving it a lot. Like, you can say that he's like Paka the playmaker now, not as much as Messi was, but he's definitely going up there. And Messi looked a bit off in the first half yesterday, but the second half, after they were one man down, all of them were really, really good. And the thing about yesterday's game was they were pressing and playing dominant football throughout, but after maybe let's say 60 minutes, the last half an hour, 25 minutes, they looked like they were running out of steam, and all of them were back in their own half trying to hold the ball from
that you can't expect.
Which is not a bad tactic.
No.
Yeah, it's not bad, so to say, but like speaking, but you can expect that. But it was very admirable that they managed without Langley, because he's like their primary defender now. PK is like kind of slowing down and being phased out slowly. So playing without technically your main defender was actually very commendable. You were saying something before I interrupted you very rudely.
So basically, as you said, what I would have expected from seeing the Barca over the last 3 years, the Barca team and the manager, they would have gone much more conservatively if they went down 1-0, if they went down one man and they were coming for the second half. They would not be attacking, they would just sit back in defense. This is completely different. Ronald Koeman told them to go and attack. And they went and attacked and they scored. And they scored in the last minute also. So
we'll move on to our new signings. I think the only major signing they have made is Serginho Dest. Has there been any other signing of a name?
Serginho Dest, Pedri and Francisco Trincao.
Yeah, but they were signed long ago. But they came in now. Trincao, that guy is so good. He's so good. He's so good. That guy's first touch, his ball control. That guy is a legend.
Not yet.
He should have. The thing was, I was thinking that maybe he should have come in last time only, etc., etc. But I think if he was there last time, they would have actually sold him off by now.
Exactly.
So it's good that he came at the time that he did. So what do you expect from any of the new signings? I've never seen Serginho Dest play. The only time I actually looked him up was when his name started being linked. I'm like,
same.
Bayern also interested. What is so great in this guy? And I went back and I watched a few of Ajax's games. He's not there. The thing is, Ajax had a very good deal on their hands, because Dest is not even their like starter. He's their backup, and they got almost up to 26 million or something for a backup right back, which is very good. But the positives for Barcelona are Roberto as the right back, and he's not a right back. So all these years you've been trying to make someone play out of position, and he's tried to hold up as much as possible. So getting a player who's always played as a right back for most of his life, he's only 19, but for most of his life, is actually, I think, a step up, because he's a specialist. He knows what that role requires of him. But according to what I've heard, Dest also up till 17 or 16 used to play as a right winger or a left winger, and slowly he went back and started playing as a right back. So apparently we can't depend on him much for his defensive work rate, but let's find out. What do you think about Dest?
From what I've seen of the highlights of him, it looks like he has the Barca game. Like he circulates the ball close. He doesn't just hack the ball upfield if you want to clear it. He makes good tackles. He keeps with the man, and he has amazing attacking abilities. So hopefully, if he continues to play like how he played in Ajax philosophy is almost the same as Barca's philosophy. If you look at Johan Cruyff, he was the founding father of both. So so hopefully he does the same thing. My character.
The other thing was, there is this huge controversy about Ricky Puig and Ronald Koeman, and Koeman asking him to go out on loan. the best part was he gave Carlos Salina, Trincao, Pedri and all first team numbers. So basically they are a part of the first team now, even if they don't get enough game time. But he didn't give Ricky Puig the number, or he didn't like officially confirm him to be part of the first team. Do you think that is a good move by a manager who's just come in and who's known the club so intimately? Yeah, so I was talking about Ricky Puig and the whole Koeman Puig thing.
Yeah.
You paid money for Pedri to come in, but you already have a homegrown talent you don't have to pay a penny for, and his salary also is less. Why would you pay money for a player to come from outside when you have a player brought up in your own philosophy there?
I don't know. I didn't agree with Koeman. I thought Puig was an amazing player and he has the capabilities of what it takes to be a proper Barca midfielder. People already compare him to Iniesta and Xavi and all. But maybe it's what he sees. He may see that Pedri has something that Puig doesn't have and might want that for the team. But personally, I feel Puig should still stay in the team. They should not send him on loan. Maybe they should send him on loan and have this thing that he should come back and play regular football.
Yep, but my point is, you technically paid some amount of money to buy Pjanic. He's a 30-year-old guy. Ricky Puig is 21. And people are already comparing him to Iniesta and Xavi and all. I know that Barcelona players generally tend to be hyped up more than they are actually worth.
Yeah.
But Ricky Puig is actually good. He's actually very, very good. And you've seen that people like Messi and all link up very well with La Masia players. So the game, if you saw Ricky Puig's first game or Ansu Fati's first game, you could see that Messi was linking up with them very instinctively. They didn't have to work hard for it. So that is the thing that La Masia has that other places don't have. So when you know that he fits in right with your team philosophy, with the style of play, why would you actually want him out? So maybe, like you said, he does not see.
That's what I don't have an answer for that. I think it depends on Koeman. But I like, if Koeman has a proper reason for it, then fine. But I don't think that Puig should go personally. But if it's the board doing this, then it's really pissing off. Because the board has done some nonsense decisions over the past few years. Arthur for Pjanic. I know Pjanic is amazing defensively and I think he can play really well, even though people give him so much nonsense. A lot of Barca fans are not giving.
I personally hate him a lot. Because you said Arthur the other way. People, even Xavi said he used to play like him. Xavi himself.
So I don't know, but I think we just have to give him time. But still, there are really a lot of decisions that have been bad. Why bring in Nelson Semedo if you have to sell him off in 3 years? Why send Luis Suarez without any proper sending off? That was the worst way to send off Luis Suarez. Basically, Luis Suarez is a legend of Barcelona. There's no doubt about it. 198 goals is no joke. Also. But I was angry with him in the last year during the matches, obviously, because he's not the same speed as he was before. So, but Definitely. He still has that amazing finishing capability. So, what I thought was at least this year they'll keep him up on as a sub or someone who starts the games, and you put in Ansu Fati or Griezmann in the second half or something like that. Because it's obvious he can't go through the entire 90 minutes giving his full potential. But the speed in which he went was just disappointing as a Barca.
Yeah, I think it's not only a problem with the board, it's the way that they have been, what should I say? The way they have been treating players for a very long time. It's one of the reasons why Xavi didn't want to come as the manager in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think in retrospect, the Arthur Pjanic swap was because they wanted to get Koeman on board always for a very long time. And all of us knew that, not Valverde, Quique Setien was like a band-aid fix for that time.
Quique Setien was a puppet for the board.
They literally wanted him to be the guy who would take the fall for them. So they just got a guy who would not say anything. So that is an obvious problem with their philosophy itself. And since we're already done with talking about the new signings, so in summary, Trincao is great, Pedri is great, Dest is great, everybody is great. Good job for once.
Hopefully, we have to see how they play. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about the exits now. So we'll first talk about the Arthur one because it's the oldest, the one that we've known for a long time. Like we've already discussed about it, nobody knows why they've done it, but he will do good at Juventus, and since they are also having a midfield revolution, maybe he'll do better there. But I think Pjanic is very good for the way Koeman is setting up the team with a double pivot. We can see that Busquets is not sitting in well with the double pivot. He's not able to. He was very good. I'm not saying Busquets, Iniesta, Xavi, along with Steven Gerrard have to be like my top midfielders of all time. So I can't say Busquets is doing bad and all, but he's not fitting in well with the team right now. Like you see that Jordi.
Yesterday he played extremely well.
Yeah, he played well. Maybe after the first game he's like, no, I have to do well now. So if you see that both Roberto and Jordi Alba keep going up. So because both of them are attacking, the defense is left with only two people. So De Jong keeps falling back. So they need that one person to hold his position. And Busquets was not able to do that very well in the first game. And maybe that's where Pjanic comes in. So he slots back and they'll have a full defense again, even though both players are going up and attacking.
Yeah, exactly. He's more defensive minded. He has crazy amount of interception. And he can take dead balls if Messi is tired or something. Then, yeah.
So yeah, that works well for us in the longer term. The other thing was, obviously, Luis Suarez. You don't like him, you think he's old, yeah, he's injury prone, he's not doing well enough for you, etc.
I love him, don't get me wrong, I love him. But I would say he was the best striker. Okay, Robert Lewandowski also, like equally, in the past few years. Definitely.
Before injury, I agree.
Not exactly, yeah, before his injury. He was a brilliant player. He's like what you would say, give him any ball in the box, he'll score. But he was getting older, obviously. So, but the way they treated him was bad.
Yeah, everybody has to agree with that. He was a lethal finisher. You knew it. So, when the MSN was there, before it became M and S, and then it finally became M, they were like among the most feared trios, if not the most feared trio in world football at that time. And one of the reasons was Suarez, because however you give him the ball, he'll finish.
Yeah.
From that, yes, he's had injuries. Yes, you couldn't trust him much with finishing games or scoring goals, whatever it is. You could have had him on the bench. So I'll talk about the problems with having him on the bench. When you have a superstar player like that who has a superstar friend like Messi, both Messi and Suarez both would be pissed off if Suarez doesn't play. That's one problem with having him on the bench. Second thing, you play him and he gets injured, you're again taxing your primary striker, who is Griezmann. Third thing, his wage is astronomical. Apparently, Barcelona pay 50 million or in excess of that only in wages every year. 50 million only in wages. So, you got him off your book. You got him off your books, it's fine. Okay, so that one way is good. Bad thing was, you sold him. You don't sell him to people in the same league. 1. 2, you don't sell him to your direct rivals. You sold him to Atletico Madrid, who you couldn't win a game against last season. I couldn't understand what was going on. And to top that all off, Atletico Madrid's last game, they won 6-1. I don't know what the world is coming to. 6-1. Atletico Madrid scored 6 goals.
6 goals.
Unimaginable. And out of that, 3 had involvements from Suarez himself. So he's like, you send me out, now I'm going to prove myself here. So
it's scary.
So if any team wants to learn from Barcelona how you don't mess up. You don't sell your players to your direct rivals. I know that Suarez is technically past his prime, but yes, he was a club legend. Like he said, there was a problem of his sending off. He was literally crying. And it didn't look like he was crying only because like he was sad about leaving. He was crying about the way in which they threw him out. Like Koeman came out and said that we never said that Suarez is not a part of our plans and we're going to like throw him out and all that. I never said that, but I told him that Griezmann would be given more priority or whatever it is. So we don't know what to believe right now, but whatever it is, you can't just say, okay, Suarez, we want you out of the team. 3 weeks later, throw him out to your direct rivals, ship him off for free. The only money you're going to get is from bonuses. I don't think Atletico is going to win anything. So technically, you're not going to get a single penny from selling him. Why would you send a striker to your opposite team when you know you are going to play him in the Champions League? You are going to play him in the La Liga. He will come and he will score goals against you. I don't understand what they were thinking of, but yeah, opinions. Either of you can talk.
I don't think it was Koeman's decision to sell him to Atletico. Definitely not. Maybe it was his decision to phase him out of the team slowly. But it has to be, there is something detrimental to Barca in that road. Hopefully this note of no confidence goes through and whoever is doing that gets out.
Yeah, so I think we're done talking about exits, but let's just mention our brother Rakitic. Yes, he was influential in winning our treble. He was useful in other things as well. But yeah, he was already past his prime now, and I think it was a good option of selling him. But selling him for 1 million is not good. Next, you sell Arturo Vidal. How much did they get for him? 5 million? 6 million? What? Something like that.
3, I think. I'm not
Oh
sure.
my god, that's even worse. They apparently got 3 million for Vidal. The thing was, though Vidal was not great as such, he and Messi used to link up very well. Everybody knew that. And in the first game, Messi did not have that connection with anybody else. So that looked a bit weird. But yeah, they were past their prime at this point, and in retrospect, in hindsight, it looks good. But it's only been 2 games, so we don't really know, because all of these are still untested players. In crunch situations, you don't know how they're going to respond. So we're just backing them. So as of now, since Messi said Barcelona does not seem to have a project, this looks like a very long-term project. Opinions?
So yeah, basically Rakitic, I think Rakitic was one of the best deals we've done in the past 10 years. Rakitic and Ter Stegen, and obviously Suarez and Neymar. Best deals, definitely, hands down. Rakitic is an amazing player. He fit into the Barca way of playing beautifully. But yeah, as you said, I think he's past his prime, and they were going to phase him out anyway. So selling him, was a good decision. And we can't argue with selling him within the league, because the only other team he was going to go back to was Sevilla. So he would not have left to any other team. And what I feel bad is that we have made so many transfers in the past 3 years, and out of that, more than 90% of them have failed and have gone back. Now again, there is this talk that Ousmane Dembele might go to Man U with buy option on the loan.
Please take him. Take him for free if that's all it takes. Take him. At least he won't eat up our medical budget.
Yeah, he has a lot of chances of getting traction, but what I think is he has amazing quality.
Yes, undoubtedly.
He is a proper winger, and he can play beautifully. Only thing he has to sort out are his injuries and his discipline. He doesn't come to practice on time. That's what I've heard from the news. I can't say anything. That's what I've heard from the news. And hopefully, if Koeman gives him his chances and he takes them, he'll be good. Koeman has said that he will rely on Dembele. Hopefully, I don't want him to leave, because when I heard that we got Dembele, I was really pumped up. At that time, Dembele was as good as Mbappe. He was as good as Mbappe. So I don't know. Maybe something happened. He's got injuries, but I hope this season he does really well. Coutinho is as of now he's playing amazing. Hopefully this continues. Griezmann, they just need to find his position for him.
Yeah, so I think let's talk about how they phased out most of their players. You want players to leave. Good. It's natural to want to refresh your team. In a time when the whole market is reeling from the COVID crisis, whatever, you don't go out in a press conference and say, I want everybody out. And Bartomeu is supposed to be a corporate wizard or something of that sort. He's supposed to be a great businessman. What logic, with what common sense do you go out and say, I want everybody out? Who is going to pay you money now? What logic is this?
Messed up. I don't know. It's so sad. It's disappointing.
Yeah, so the other thing we have to talk about is the tactics. Under Kike Setien, I guarantee you there were no tactics. I don't know what was going on the field there. But since Valverde to now, Valverde actually had some plans in place. But the thing was, he was diverting from the Barcelona way, so to say. But I was reading an article the other day. It was talking about how Barcelona should now move on from the Guardiola way, which is actually pretty fair. We always try to compare managers, and the one person we compare them is always to Guardiola. We have to face it that nobody can be Guardiola again. You can't get the same quality again. But the problem is we've got so used to that style of play that we can't accept anybody else. And it has been detrimental to our team. Your opinions about it?
Yeah. Basically, Guardiola had an amazing style of play, that he was a brilliant tactician, but he also had an amazing team, one of the best teams in the world. But still, they needed him to implement that, definitely. But yeah, that was like classic tiki-taka. So now, as of now, I feel that we cannot have that play, because firstly, we don't have that kind of players. None of them are home. Like those players were bathed in llamas. Yeah. Half of our players are not even from llamas.
All around the world.
Yeah. So I also feel that you need that kind of play. Plus, in addition, you need quick counterattacks. You need proper defending. And with Ter Stegen, I think personally that he is definitely one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I would say second to Neuer as well.
Yeah, definitely. Jitto, do you agree with the analysis of Manuel Neuer being first and Ter Stegen being second?
Yeah, I can see that. Now, as far as Germany is concerned, I can agree that many people are saying Leno should replace Ter Stegen after like yesterday's performance, but Leno still has a long way to go. And I would see Ter Stegen because of his experience at the highest stage, right?
Yeah, the other thing was, other than Messi, the standout performer for the past 2 seasons has been Ter Stegen. If not for him, we would have lost 82 to Bayern or something like that. I'm not saying that they could not get past him many times and all, but like generally the team's morale is down when the goalkeeper is bad. You can see that at Chelsea. It's not like they have very horrible players, but the defense and the goalkeeper are not capable of their style of play. We're diverting too much, but yeah. So we were talking about tactics now. As of now, Koeman wanted to play with a 4-2-3-1 double pivot, if I'm not wrong. So in that way, left is Jordi Alba, Longley, Piqué, right is Roberto or Dest now. If Dest proves that he's fighting for the team or he gets into the team. The double pivot is De Jong and Busquets / Pjanic. Then in the midfield we go to left is Ansu Fati, middle is Coutinho, right is Messi, and striker is supposed to be Griezmann. Any corrections?
Yeah, that I would go with the same team. And in right back, I would say Sergio Dest has competition from Conrad de la Fuente. And in midfield, instead of Messi, I really feel that I really feel that the difference in these few games under Koeman is that the team is not overly relying on Messi. That is what I feel. They are giving the ball to other players than Messi, and Messi is free to do what he wants and score goals when he feels like before. So if you don't overly rely on Messi, the team has more people to.
You saw that both Ansu Fati and Messi were in the box and they were like 10-12 yards apart. And Coutinho, generally what they do is whatever you do, in the end you give the ball to Messi because you know he'll score. The pass that day, Coutinho gave it to Fati, it literally blew my mind. I'm like, wow, did he not see Messi or is there something else on his mind? And he passed it to Fati and Fati scored. Like, he went through between the legs under the goalkeeper, which is brilliant. So that showed that, okay, now, because when Coutinho came, anybody who came into Barcelona was always going to live under the shadow of Messi, obviously. But when Coutinho used to play, before he left for Bayern, he always looked like he had that inferiority complex that he couldn't, he was scared to express himself on the field. It doesn't look like that now. Coutinho still is a little bit reserved, but he looks more confident now. And I think we have to thank Bayern for that. And we also have to thank Koeman because he said, I'm going to trust him. And he's a brilliant player. and he is proving his brilliance. Yesterday's game was mind-blowing. No wonder he got the man of the match.
He played brilliantly.
Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to say was, Griezmann is supposed to be the striker. He's supposed to be the, forward-most player from our side. But how we are seeing the game is Messi is supposed to be in the right, so Messi drops in between. Ansu Fati goes in front. Coutinho goes slightly left, so both Messi and Coutinho play kind of in the middle, attacking midfielders. Messi is not playing mostly like a forward. He does go front, but then Griezmann comes off to the right. I don't understand I understand your team is trying to be fluid and you're shifting shapes, etc., etc. But if Griezmann is supposed to be the second striker, he has no business being on the right side at all. If any of you have an explanation for that,
what I think is happening is, while going forward, Coutinho takes up the playmaking position. Messi drops in front of him. So basically, Messi is taking Griezmann's position, and Griezmann goes to the right, but not Messi's position exactly. The same line as Messi as a forward, but he goes to the right. So that's what we've been so used to in the past years, because usually Messi goes center and Suarez also is there, but Messi used to play in Coutinho's position and Suarez would be in front of him. Now Messi is playing center and Griezmann is playing right. So what I think is, personally, Griezmann should be playing center and Messi should be playing on the right. But I don't know, Messi can finish as good as Griezmann. So, but I really hope that Griezmann gets accustomed to that position, or they have to change tactics, as I said.
Yeah, because Griezmann is looking increasingly silent with every game that goes by. And yesterday you saw that they were down to 10 men. The person to be sacrificed was Griezmann again. You don't spend an excess of 150 million, 130 million to get a player who is swappable. If you spend 130 million, you expect to get a player who is indispensable to the team. That's not how it looks like. And it's bad for Griezmann too. He doesn't look to be as confident as he was when he was at Atletico. I understand Atletico, you were the main man, you were the talisman, you were the star, whatever it is. But once you are here, it's not only a problem with Griezmann as such, it's a problem with the club, the board, everything. So maybe instead of it being like a 4-2-3-1, it now looks like a 4-2-1-3. Ansu Fati goes up in front, left.
Yeah.
Messi is in the middle. Griezmann is slightly towards the right.
Yeah, that's while attacking.
Yeah,
while attacking, it becomes a 4-2-1-3.
And I'm not saying it's weird, but the thing about Griezmann is also not an out and out. He's like a second striker, just behind the striker. So maybe if Ansu Fati takes up the role of a striker, or Messi takes up the role of a striker, he can be just behind him, either feeding him or feeding off the striker himself. Either way.
Yeah. So last year, Griezmann was playing on the left. Now we have Ansu Fati on the left and Griezmann is playing on the right. So I think he's better on the right because he's left-footed, basically. So he can cut in and score, especially to that far post shot. So which he's quite good at. And he can also play with Messi. I mean, give quick 1-2s at the edge of the box and score. So hopefully Koeman just continues giving him chances. I'm pretty sure he'll take one of those and he will show what he's meant to be. Hopefully.
Correct. So,
otherwise, we have to play Trincao in that position.
Oh, but Trincao is very, 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 very good. Instantly I became a fan after seeing him in preseason. I'm like, that touch, ball control is brilliant. His first touch is legendary.
Yeah, he's good, but he still needs little ironing out some things, and he should pass more, I think. But he's really good.
Yeah, so the other thing was, since Neymar, I think we have spent over 600 or 700 billion trying to sign players who would fit in that position. He literally bought an attacking midfielder from Liverpool, Coutinho, and made him play on the left wing to see if it will work. Obviously, it didn't work. He bought a host of other players. Among them is Dembele. He played on the left. It's not like it didn't work, but he is never fit. He stays more in the hospital than he spends time on the ground. I'm not saying it in a mocking way, but it's bad when a player you bought for so much of money, 80 million or so, eats up your medical budget instead of taking awards home. The other person you signed, Griezmann, he's a striker, and you made him play on the left. So I think they should have always been looking at La Masia to try and fill that gap. And finally under Ernesto Valverde the chance came to Ansu Fati. And it's finally working. Like the left side finally looks alive now with Fati. Like that speed that the team was lacking is finally there now because of the way this guy plays.
Yes, exactly. And he can fill in as a beautiful poacher. So he scores goals along with just dribbling and making chances. He scores goals. So that's only from 2 matches. We can't say, but hopefully he continues this towards the end of it.
But we have a larger sample size with Ansu Fati, so to say, because he's played the last season as well.
Yeah.
So we just can't write him off as a 2-game wonder, 3-game wonder. He's actually been very good. But there's the other issue of depending on him now too much, people hyping him up like to be the successor of Messi.
So
I don't know how he can be successor of Messi.
He just stays humble and does the stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the guy who might take things to his head.
Yeah.
The other thing is, even though his clause is set at 400 million or whatever, they should already be planning for backing up these set positions. Now we can see that Messi is going to leave eventually or whatever. So they're trying not to be only reliant on him. Now if you're going to pin all your hopes on Ansu Fati and eventually he leaves, again you'll be back to square one trying to replace Fati, trying to replace Messi, whoever, whatever, and etc. So I think it's finally time, because Barcelona has always been that club that it was never like before, after Guardiola only it's become like you buy and get people in. It's always been generally 1 or 2 big signings and then the rest come from your academy. And that's how champion teams are built. You build over a period of time. You saw Bayern in 2013. The next time they won the treble was now, and most likely you can say that they're also going to win all the 6. And they'll be the only other team after Barcelona of 8-9 to do it, 2009 to do it. So technically, they spent the 7 years trying to build a team that is now all conquering. They literally won everything in their path. So maybe they should take notes from a rival who is actually doing something sensible. Trust in your youth. Trust in people who are going to be there in the future for you. And the thing was, I heard that Alphonso Davies was offered by a scout, and because the president takes the calls for that, and they are like
he's from Canada, so they rejected.
I thought it was a joke, but then I read it on a reliable source. I read it on the Athletic about it.
Yes.
Apparently so the scout, Barcelona has like a huge scouting network, and this scout came and said there's this guy from Canada who plays really well. You could either use him as the left wing or a left back or whatever. You could use him as a left side player. And we were looking for a left side player after Neymar for so long till we settled on Ansu Fati. Fine, okay. You know what Bartomeu says? He's from Canada. We don't want players from Canada. The reason you reject, he's literally now the best left back in the world, or possibly the best wing back in the world. The reason to reject him is him being a Canadian. It's things like these that show that your club is in a decline.
But also, it's a very small sample size, as you can say. He's played just 1 season. But he's an amazing player. He's extremely fast and all, but he has to perform on a regular basis. That's all.
Yeah, so that is the thing I'm trying to say. Going for 160 million Coutinho is better, or 15 million Alphonso Davies is better. If Alphonso Davies doesn't work, he can warm the bench. You can send him out on loan. You can sell him off for a loss or a profit or whatever. You buy 160 million Coutinho who does not perform, who is going to buy him off you? So the business doesn't make sense at all. Okay, I'm ranting too much about this. Let's move on to... we already talked about the possible XI with the tactics. So if Vinay, you can tell me your XI. Is it any different from mine?
As I said, it's almost the same as yours. I think also as they are not relying too much on Messi, as before, he's still the best player in the team and they should rely on him when they're down. They should also start giving Ronald Araujo more chances in centre back instead of PK, because PK is also getting old. And they should get Garcia somehow. Eric Garcia, they should buy him before the deadline, because we need a centre back.
And it's not that Eric Garcia is very good or that Ronald Araujo is great and all. But if you start playing them now, they'll improve.
Yeah, both of them are from our academy. That's what
Yes,
I'm
yes.
saying. So, and they are, as of what I've seen the highlights, they are good. They are good players. You don't need to spend huge amounts of money for
They are
Kalidou
actually very
Koulibaly.
good.
And
But yeah, I think they're slowly trying to
yeah.
phase out these players now with Busquets slowly being moved out. But there's actually no replacement for PK yet. So what they could do is this slowly start, like you said. If you don't get Garcia, at least you have not a ready-made, but you have an option there. Slowly start playing them to see how they might do. So you'll know if you can depend on them or not. You just can't say one day because PK is old now. Like he's not fast enough, or you say that he's injured and you just can't make him sit down. And if you see the problem now, Pep Guardiola at City is struggling for defenders. He spent some 400-500 million on defenders only. And it's not that they're bad. It's just that they have failed to replace players like Vincent Kompany and all. Fernandinho is too slow. Vincent Kompany, when he was there, he was very good, but then he was also aging, so he had to leave. So if you stay with people who are, they might work for you. I'm not saying they won't work. I'm not saying PK won't work now. He might work, but
yeah, PK
think about
currently
long
he's
term.
the best centre back we have, definitely. So yeah, we have to think about long term. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I think we can talk about what we can expect from the team now. What do you think they can do? Like, what do you think they
Yeah,
can
as
win?
I started off with, I'm very happy with the past two performances. Amazing. I have some confidence in the team. I'm seeing some different confidence in the team, different level of confidence in the team, which was not there. What I personally think in the past few years, and hopefully we just continue this. Hopefully there are no injuries, no bust-ups, no angry players with the management, and our signings do well. Like Dembele comes back, starts playing well. Griezmann starts playing well. Coutinho just continues his amazing form, and Pedri and Trincao keep on getting chances. And Sergio Dest obviously comes in and takes the world by storm. Hopefully.
Okay, so you think we can win the La Liga or go a little bit deeper and not get thrashed as badly as we did this Champions League?
From these two performances, I actually think we have a great chance of winning the La Liga. From these two performances. Champions League, we can't say, obviously. We always seem to lose in the second leg and we got thrashed by Bayern.
Champions League is
They have played amazing.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. Since the Roma season, I'm not saying we were good before that, but since that season, it's been getting increasingly worse every year.
Yeah.
And it was only one leg at Bayern with Bayern. God knows what would have happened if we had two. Oh, you should have seen how all of these guys were mocking me. It was sad that day.
I was so pissed. I was so sad. Yeah, but I think, look, our group is with Juventus and Dynamo Kiev and our group is with Juventus, Dynamo Kiev and Ferencvaros. So hopefully we don't get upset by the Dynamo Kiev and Ferencvaros, and hopefully we beat Juventus. So I think if we beat Juventus in the group stage, we have confidence to go to the knockout stages, and we can play our game. So I'm not saying like we have a great chance of winning the Champions League. Hopefully, I think we can do decently well. And La Liga with what I've seen in these two matches, I think we have a great chance.
Yeah. Okay. So all of this is totally off script and like not planned. But I wanted to ask, since Bartomeu is eventually going to go out, even if he doesn't lose the vote, the no confidence motion, he will leave by Jan, Feb, or at the most March. After that, there is going to be a new president, and the new president, whoever is going to come, one of them has actually gone out and said that no matter what happens, I'm going to get Xavi in. So, do you think that's a wise option, even if Koeman does something great, or that puts his job in jeopardy and he won't be confident with this style of play?
If you want to see, actually, in the past 20 years, the attitude of clubs towards managers has been extremely bad. Extremely bad. If you see Alex Ferguson, the best manager in the world, like he's the best. He's like Dada. So he did not win any trophy for the first 3 or 4 seasons or something like that. I'm not very sure.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything. Then one season he got a cup, I think. Not even the league. And they just stayed with him 25 years. Man U is now one of the best teams in the world. Even though they don't play well now, they still are considered. They have the biggest fan base in the world because of that. So I think even if Koeman doesn't win the Champions League or I think he should come close in the La Liga with this team, and he should try to win it. That should be our our goal. But sending him off without a proper reason I don't think so. And Xavi needs a little bit more time. I think he should come in after Koeman leaves, like properly leaves.
The thing with Xavi coming in is, if he doesn't do well now, this is his one shot. You mess this up, there's no coming back to the team after that. So maybe it's in his best interest that he stays a while longer wherever he is, gets to grow as a manager, and then comes in eventually. And it's not like Koeman is doing extremely bad now. We'll find out eventually, but he doesn't look to be as clueless or as powerless as Kike Setien was. And he certainly looks to be more dominant with his style of play than Ernesto Valverde was.
Exactly. So, and the players, I think, actually look up to him. He is a Barca legend.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, he's the defender who has the most number of goals in world football. Like, that's legendary. So they have to look up to him. And I seriously think that there is more confidence in the dressing room. And there is more gelling together. And hopefully this works.
And the other thing was, Koeman doesn't have like a very great track record at Everton. It wasn't very great. And then before that he managed Sevilla or Celta Vigo, some club like that, Villarreal or something like that. And it didn't really work there either. But that was quite a long time ago, and people are still judging him about that. If we actually want to see how he's doing right now, we can see the Dutch national team, and he's done wonders with them. Like the best of Van Dijk came out there. The best of De Jong came out there. So technically, do you think that we can actually trust him, given that at club level he has a bad record, but he has done well with his Dutch national team, whatever he got?
No, I think it's a progression as a manager. It doesn't matter which team you are. Actually, with the national team, you can't even buy players. You have to use what is there. So it's more hard to be a national team manager than a club manager. So I think he's progressed as a manager and he's improving. And definitely he has his tactics, which he's imposed upon the team brilliantly. And hopefully this continues. And so I think Barcelona fans should be more receptive to him, personally. And support him. I
don't hate him personally, but I'm not like a huge fan and all. I know he's a Barca legend, but I definitely, when his name was linked to Suarez's bad treatment and with the Ricky Puig issue, I lost my mind. I'm like, what is going on here? But maybe it's wise to just hold our horses for a while and see how it goes on.
I don't think he was instrumental in Suarez's treatment. Suarez's treatment is bored.
That board is horrible. Any other questions, Jitto, since you're a neutral and not a Barcelona fan among the both of us?
Like it's regarding Griezmann, I think, like, wouldn't it be best if you play him as a striker than trying to make him adapt in the right? Like, just put him as striker. Like, that's where he played the best when he was.
Exactly what I was saying. So what I was thinking, what we are doing now is Messi is drifting into the center, but I think Messi can do that. He has all rights to do that because he's a false nine. He can literally go wherever he wants in the attacking phase. But I think, Griezmann should play more centrally. But if he manages to do well on the right, I think they should maybe try next game also on the right. If he doesn't do well, then they should shift him to center. And if he doesn't manage to do well on the right, we should put him in the center and try out.
Yeah, in my opinion, actually, Messi, despite being the best player in the world, there are quite a few disadvantages to having him in the team. You just have to build your team around him, and you have to be, whatever your game plan is, you have to be okay with Messi drifting in between, coming back, with him staying the forward most when the whole team is falling back. You have to be okay with all these things, but his brilliance comes at that cost, that you have to accept that his place is not fixed. He can move wherever he wants to make the chances. But the problem right now is that Koeman has a plan. He knows what player is supposed to do what, and he's given them positions as such. earlier managers, they didn't exactly have that much of freedom.
Yeah, they just gave license to Messi, do whatever you want and use these players if you want. But now Koeman has given these players definite roles and said use others and use Messi. I mean, use Messi and use others also, basically.
Yeah, so earlier it was Messi first and the whole squad around him. Now it's not like that. Now the whole squad is built. It's not around one player as such. So even if somebody leaves, they already know what to do, which is very, very good. So yeah, so that's one problem with having Messi. But compared to the work that he does for all the accolades that he wins, I think there is a very small price to pay.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think we have a game against Sevilla on Sunday or something, Monday early morning.
Sunday.
Yeah. So,
Today's already
Sunday.
yeah. So that will be a tough game, even though it's at home. Sevilla is a really good team. They won the Europa League 3 times in a row, and Rakitic is coming back.
I had to ask one thing. Yeah. Since I always ask people this, the home and away thing, fans are not there. How much do you think it matters if you're playing at home or away? It's not like cricket where the pitch is catered to you. It's football. It's the same ground. Maybe the dimensions are slightly altered, but it's the fans that make the difference. And now there are no fans. What difference does it make if you play home?
Yeah, fans play a huge role. I would say 70% of the role. But players actually just training in their own ground, it makes a difference. Even though the dimensions are almost the same. If you see Barca's pitch, I think it's one of the biggest pitches in the La Liga. They have huge width.
Which I think in the world, they have
Yeah. That's the biggest pitch.
It's they have huge width, and even those few centimeters of difference or few meters of difference actually makes a difference. And just getting used to the turf, that also makes a difference. Not as much as cricket, definitely, but yeah.
Yeah, so no, I understand. I do agree that players training in their own ground, but not only about Barcelona in general. Like you saw, I always point out to the Liverpool games. You see when the fans are there at Anfield, every team is scared because the way the bus drives in, only half of them get beaten up. The bus gets literally butchered on the way into Anfield. And when they come, it's so hostile that teams are scared of playing in places like...
fans have a huge role. That's what I said.
Yeah, like Dortmund, you see the fans there, you get scared. They're literally like that. You have to see the fans like that. It's scary. But when they're not there, teams struggle. Like, and the way that managers shift also, their tactics. If you see the PL, Lampard plays more defensively now than ever. So does Arsenal. If fans were there, they would get clobbered. The managers would get clobbered if they did that.
Yeah.
So it's, in my opinion, it's bad that football is going through this phase where teams are not playing the way they used to play and they're getting away with it. Your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. But the fans are also sometimes really nutcases. They don't know anything about the game. They expect the players to do what they want. They think they are the managers. That's really sad. I think the perfect example would be at Real Madrid. They booed Ronaldo. Imagine, like, how do you even?
We don't need
talk about Real Madrid here.
That is the worst ever treatment you could give to your club. I mean,
he's a legend. He is literally the greatest of all time, along with Messi. Debatable, but yeah.
He's the greatest goal scorer. Like, he's stopping everything in Real Madrid. Even after so many years, he left it.
No, the thing that we have to also accept is most of their domination in Champions League came during Ronaldo's time. He left, the team just went. There's no hope.
He saved them. He literally saved them in crucial games. All those big games.
He's a pakka big match player. He knows when to step up. He knows what to do. And the best part was they insulted him and he left. The team has never been the same after that.
Yeah.
This year they only won the La Liga because Barcelona sucked. It's not because they were playing extremely great.
They've not gone past the pre-quarter since Ronaldo left.
They haven't. I don't know what to say. We have a Real talk coming up now. Yeah, so we'll talk about Real there.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think fans are allowed. The UEFA said the fans will be allowed in the UCL games. So slowly fans will be coming back, and the home and away advantage will be there. So
Okay, I think that brings us close to our whole talk.
Yeah,
for today.
and in conclusion, just praying and hoping that we play the same in the next matches.
Okay, that brings us to a close. Thank you, Vinay. You can say your goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for having me. Privilege.
This is Elijah signing off. Jittu.
Jittu signing off.
Yes, bye-bye.